Welcome to another session of a chat with Al and Matt.
I'm Al.
And I'm Matt. Today's session, we will once again be looking at things that we see on Google News and discussing them. Today's topic is one that is reasonably near to us, as it comes from McGill University in Montreal. This particular topic is slightly interesting to us because the next upcoming day is International Women's Day. And this particular article, which we'll include a link to in the description, happens to be speaking about women's, not necessarily rights, but certain demands that they believe should be met by society.
Or that some people believe should be met by society. We shouldn't necessarily come out and say, this is what women believe they should. That's a little bit of a blanket statement.
This is true.
Not what we stand for here. We don't stand for making shit up on the spot, you piece of shit.
This is true. Okay. So, to get into some specifics, effectively, there are two law students who have commented on the request of one second-year student to have women-only hours at the gym. However, this has caused somewhat of a backlash. To me, it seems as though this is the obvious result. If you're going to have women-only hours, shouldn't at the same time you be making a request for men-only hours? Why should men have to deal with a mixed workout area and women should not?
Because women are the master race. Men are just pawns in women's game of life.
True, but then you're creating a protected class, right, of women. And if you're protecting a class, I don't think you're really letting them do what's best for themselves. This also comes into play when we talk about egalitarianism, and it should be noted that when we say egalitarianism, we mean egalitarianism, not what certain feminist groups would describe as egalitarianism, which is what this particular case is an excellent example of. In the article,
Third wave fucking SJW bullshit.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the whole idea that just because it's women doing it, that makes it acceptable, or that there's some sort of different set of rules that should apply to them.
Haven't you heard it's only sexist when men do it?
Yeah, it's only racist when white people do it.
Yeah, that's just a statement of reality, though. I mean, come on. Only white men can be racist, sexist, bigot pieces of shit.
Well, as a white male, one of the interesting citations made in the article, though, is they say that the university's pool currently has women-only hours that were instituted after a female student brought forward similar concerns. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that if a male student were to bring up the same concerns, absolutely nothing would be done about the situation.
That's a hypothetical, though.
Oh, of course it's a hypothetical, because it's not bloody well going to happen.
Of course it's not going to happen, because if some man did it, they'd be complaining about it, and there we are back to the same point.
Exactly, but then again, is there not a problem with society if we're at a point where it's acceptable for women to complain about things, but not for men to complain about the same things? Isn't that just an example of how, despite all the efforts of supposed arguments for equality, that nothing's really happening? And when you read the commentary that the media has placed on this, they're all talking about how somehow this reflects on equal rights for women?
Somehow it's equal to exclude them from everyone else. We're going to take them away from the context of everyone else, put them above, give them their own time as well as the other time, and for some reason try to say that that's equal.
Exactly, because they're saying, well, we're appealing to the requests of these particular students in order to, ensure that they feel safe in this particular environment. And those who don't feel safe, they can continue during the mixed hours. So, to me, aren't they directly saying that men do not make women feel safe?
It sounds like they're directly saying that men make women feel unsafe.
That's truly, to be more to the point, yes, that is a much better phrasing of it. Why should men be subjected to this mixed workout area? What if maybe they don't feel comfortable working out in front of women, and that's something that discourages a demographic of men not to attend the gym?
It probably would. I'm sure there are certain men who are less comfortable with who they are and would like if there was less people there in general, and women specifically. I'm sure there are. I'm sure I could find you some. But the men and women in those situations, just like everybody else, if you aren't comfortable working out at that time, you need to find another time, rather than just asking the school to give you your own time.
Well, exactly. Why should a society or institution bend to the needs of an individual? I mean, we live in a democracy. That means that what the majority thinks is what we do. To go on a bit of a tangent, this also arcs into the whole idea of pandering to minorities for reasons that I still do not understand. If the majority voted to do something, then that means that your point, or how you think things should be done, is rendered null and void. We voted, we decided. Now you have to go along with what the majority decided. I'm not saying it's a perfect system, but then again, to quote Winston Churchill, democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others that we have tried.
At the end of the day, it's this whole political correctness and no politician wanting to look bad in any situation.
That's
So yeah, you on one hand you could do what the 50% plus one say, or you could do what this 12% says, so they don't slander you in front of everyone else.
yeah, but if they're only the 12%, why do you care?
Because they're going to slander you and everyone else is going to blindly believe what they say. So now your 50% plus one base is gone too.
That's true. Because people rarely like to do their own research into a situation. An excellent example in this near where we live is the whole shale gas thing. If shale gas, if hydraulic fracturing is conducted properly, and I say this from a position of having taken many geology courses at university, if done correctly, there's absolutely no danger to the environment or to the situation. The problem is, which do you think is easier? To sit someone down for a solid hour and a half, 2 hours, and explain the science of it to them so that they can make an informed decision on the environmental impact or lack thereof of the situation, or to have them listen to you if you're holding a sign saying, if we have any hydraulic fracturing in this here area, we's going to all have babies with 16 heads and 17 toes.
That is almost literally what people around here sound like.
But this is the problem with society, right? No one wants to research something that they're told. And in this particular case, they don't want to research something before saying it or consider the real ramifications, not just the ones that they perceive to happen. Because if they get their own hours, they'll be like, yay, result. We had some sort of a social victory or egalitarian victory. But all you really did was segregate a large part of society, which in this case would be the male students who attend McGill University and which to use this particular gym.
As a slight tangent, I'd like to point out that statistically speaking,
Are the-
women aren't a minority.
No, I know, women are the majority.
Just like white people are a minority. I'm just saying, this whole white men terrible majority crap, not even remotely true. It's not true here. It's not true in the States.
No, I know, the white...
Okay, it's true literally here. Where I am right now, it is literally true that white men outnumber everyone else. It's true.
But on a global scale... I mean, like, Asians are the majority.
Yes.
By
very much
leaps
so.
and bounds.
China and the subcontinent of
Yeah.
India.
But
Just
the main
saying.
problem that we get into, though, is for some reason white people catch a lot of flack because of British imperialism, which, for reasons unknown to me, people tend to get awfully irritated about.
Of course
Because that's like when say the Native Americans, right? They'll complain about them coming over here and taking our land, so we have to give it back, and we have claims to land. Okay, Here's the thing. When the Romans went through somewhere, they salted the earth, so nothing would ever grow there again. You don't hear countries from around there complaining about things that happened forever ago. If someone comes in...
They probably do. To be honest, they probably do, and it's probably in their local news. It just isn't making it to us.
Yeah, because the Romans are still oppressing the people. But
hey man, white people are still oppressing the people, so why wouldn't the Romans? Who are also
white,
kind of white.
yeah. Well,
is that it? Is that secretly it? The Romans are actually still the biggest collective, and they're still oppressing everyone.
hey man, it's all part of the New World Order.
It's not really. It wouldn't be new.
It's true. It's part of the vintage world order. So once someone comes in and takes over your country, okay, fine, your people can rally and take it back. If they don't, it's not your land. They took it away from you. It's theirs.
Are you saying that the conquered people shouldn't be able to make all of their decisions while being held captive by whoever else?
Oh, absolutely not. That's not how it works. Those aren't the rules.
Apparently that is how it works.
Oh, it is how it works. It doesn't make any sense.
It's called North America.
That's how it works in North America. Everywhere else, that's not a thing.
Well, North America, geographically speaking, is still a substantial portion of the world. I mean, it's not half or
an eighth.
Really that much. It's still substantial.
Fair, but it's also because it's so new that people think that these things matter. In 150 years from now, no one's going to care.
You say that. Maybe they will.
That's true, but...
Maybe in 150 years, the Native Americans will still be complaining about their land, and women will still think they're a minority, even though, statistically speaking, there are less men, and that's going to continue to trend that way.
This is true, unless...
In 150 years, men may represent 30% of the population.
This is true. I mean, it's just going to be... You're going to have a mad game.
No, women are going to have mad game.
No, see...
Men are just going to be game.
Oh, this is true. We'll have reserves.
We're talking about more than 2 women for every man, statistically speaking.
This is true.
I'm not saying that from like a value perspective. I mean that from a strictly numerical perspective.
Yeah.
I will not be taken out of context on that one.
on all other situations, it's okay. But that one...
Well, I'd rather it than that. That one was pretty bad.